It's the third time in a row, all good things are three and more, where I have the honor to interview the German internet entrepreneur, Oliver Samwer, who I've seen just coming from a meeting probably. Oliver Samwer, please come on stage. So you know the weather turned bad, the sun went down, and suddenly everyone is back in. Now, let's start with something personal. I'm German. I did NOAH conference in London 7 years, and for me this is kind of a homecoming. How are you feeling still connected to Berlin?
So we came to Berlin in 1998, and the truth is I had never been to Berlin. So basically I came here because everyone said that is a new hip city. We were in Silicon Valley at that point of time, and we came here, and I think that's now our headquarters. So we've been very loyal to Berlin, and I think what I've seen, basically what changed most, we have, I don't know, in 98, we were a small group of maybe like 20 internet entrepreneurs, maybe 30. We met at a place called Silicon City and other places. And I think now it's like one big university of entrepreneurs, hundreds, thousands. Every intern wants to start new companies. So I think we came a long way. But I mean, that's true for Berlin. I think that's true for Germany, but that's also true for Europe. And I think that is something that everyone can be pretty proud about.
So when we were asked why we bring NOAH to Berlin, we said, well, it's logical because it's the second digital metropole in Europe. Do you see Berlin also that strong? I mean, you travel probably more than all of us together. Do you see Berlin as the digital center of Europe?
I think the good thing in Europe is I don't think you always have this one center. I think that's good, because I think otherwise we would have a mega city with all kind of like, when I look at many of the emerging markets, there's Jakarta, and all of Indonesia basically is centered around, if you look at other cities and countries. So I think it's good that it's relatively decentralized. You have great companies in Paris, in Munich, in Berlin, in Stockholm, in Helsinki, so I think that's great. At the same time, you know, I'm German. I love Berlin, so I want it to be like at least a small center. Yeah, I think it's great that among the top probably 20 or 30 most valuable companies in the internet space in Europe, I think many of them have their home here, and probably the largest number of them compared to any other city. And I think that's great, because this city didn't have any industry. Yeah, I mean, let's be realistic. When we came here, we always asked, where were you employed before? And most of the people basically said, I either work for McKinsey and I fly away from here, or I work for one of the few, basically, or many of the many government institutions. And I think now startups are probably the largest employer after the government here. So I think it's came a long way.
And we heard that you are building a big tower, the Rocket Tower. How many people will be working in that tower, and when does it open?
We are not building a tower. Yeah, I think
you're rebuilding.
We're also not rebuilding. We are moving into a house. So, and we're moving primarily all under one roof, yeah, one house. And I think it's our commitment to Berlin. Yes, it's going to have, I think, 20,000 square meters. And I think the goal is to have more like we can't have a big campus. So basically, it's going to be a skyscraper campus of many companies together. They can learn from each other. They can tap into each other's knowledge. And I think it's a clear commitment to the city. It's a clear commitment to the industry. And we always say, I think it's the beginning of the marathon, because we fundamentally believe everything what we do. And when I heard today many speeches about the great progress and so on that we made, I realized, you know, it's really not a sprint. It will basically, if we ever want to turn Europe into something digitally more powerful, and even if you want to create a company that is more worth than 100 million, 1 billion, or 5 billion, I think you always have to realize it will take ages. Yeah?
Yeah, I know that.
So only NOAH got it faster. Yeah.
So will you open up this tower for ex-Rocket employees who founded interesting businesses? I mean, there's a whole kind of alumni around the companies you have built, the so-called ex-Rocket guys who have been incredibly successful. Will you open up to them and do some margin on real estate?
Only for the ex-Rocket girls. No, I think we basically, we have half of the skyscraper basically, or half of the building we have for Rocket companies, and the other half everyone else can rent out.
And how often will you be there? I mean, how much weekdays are you spending actually in Berlin?
I'm here maybe 1 day a week, but given that basically we have a lot of activities in many other countries, my main job is to be on Lufthansa.
Okay, so as a public company CEO now, I mean, is it what you expected? Is it too much, too little? Is it annoying? I mean, how has your life changed, and would you do the IPO again?
It's much better. So everyone kind of like, I think it's great to be public, because I think it fundamentally allows you to do what you did before, but I think fundamentally probably at a bigger scale. And I think especially for Europe, I mean, let's be very clear, when we raised 1.4 billion euros in the IPO, how can I raise private capital of 1.4 billion euro for one company? Yeah?
And that fast.
And that fast, and I also raised in the past private. So I think it's great that basically we have now in Europe also and internationally public investors who believe in the industry, and also in the industry that into companies that have been originated from Europe. Yeah, and I think it's a great move for a company like Zalando. It's a great move for company Rocket, and I hope in this audience and many other audiences and conferences, I think there are hopefully a lot more who follow that, because I think if you look at how many internet companies they have in America, the public markets is a vital piece of that entire value creation and job creation in America, and I think we need more. Therefore, kind of like also smaller IPOs like Windeln.de, I think it's always good to basically, if you go and raise capital also in the public markets and explain to investors, you will go through ups and downs all the time. Yeah, sometimes basically people come and say, you know, your stock price a little down, your stock price a little up, and they will say, this analyst wrote this about in this press article. Obviously, you get more of that, but I think, you know, just kind of like keep your head down and continue, and then I think you will have more means to build bigger companies, and I think that's our whole goal, to build a bigger company out of Rocket.
And this, what you just said, is in line with your actions, because in the past, you did have the reputation of selling fast, selling early, but now you're holding on to that. And when I look at your latest investor presentation, there was one slide on profits or on losses where you say that your EBITDA margin, the loss of EBITDA, which used to be 56% of revenues, is in the last quarter reduced to 34%. Is it good or bad?
I think it's clearly good. I mean, I think our goal is every company that we start had its own path to profitability. An e-commerce company, in our view, needs to break even after 6 to 9 years, a marketplace after 5 to 7 years, a fintech company 6 to 8 years. There will always be exceptions, kind of some people who make it earlier, but I think we have a very clear view on when this sector or when this category and therefore this company has to break even. And I think you need to basically have a clear path, and you need to have those proof points. And therefore, I think it's obviously good. However, obviously, we have a few younger companies, and for them, basically, it can also mean that the EBITDA margin goes, the negative in absolute terms basically goes up. And so basically people go into more of an investment mode. But some of the larger ones, obviously, it has to go down. And I think we made good progress last year, and I think we are positive for this year too.
The number one question we get, or I get as a banker, conference organizer by hobby, but the number one question we get from clients is, okay, Marco, I could spend now 20 million on advertising, or I could spend 15. If I spend 15, my revenue growth would be lower. Now, we know from you that you are the master of capital raising, before in the private, now in the public domain. What advice can you give entrepreneurs in this room? What should they maximize for? Revenue growth or EBITDA profitability? And how do they recognize when they should change from the one strategy to the other?
I think the most important is still first that you chose the right business model. Yeah. Once you have, if you really feel after 1 or 2 years or 6 months in this, or you're so smart and you know it on day one, I think then it's all about being number one in this business. Yeah. And I think our view is always, you have to become number one. Therefore, you will have a period of where you're going to have substantial or significant losses, where you have built up enough of a critical difference to the number 2 or number 3 or number 4. And then I think then basically you optimize more and more for every other part of the unit economics calculation, be it the marketing cost and so on. But I think there is like a life cycle of a company that has to go through. And I think certain things you can do in year 1 and year 2, and certain things you have to do in year 3 and 4. So we are not believers in companies that after 10 years tell us still, you know, it's fine to do losses or something. Yeah, I think clearly after maybe a year 3, 4, latest 5, you need to have a clear path to get relatively fast break even. Yeah? And I think, but this being number one and giving everything to become that, I think is very important.
It's almost like speed matters the most in that case.
I think one thing is speed, but I think it's also the detail, the focus on the operations, the loyalty of the customers that comes then out of it, and so on. So it's not speed only, because speed only means only losses and so on. I think it comes down to very normal virtues or normal success factors: hard work, running a little faster, thinking a little smarter, going a little bit more international, and also being a little braver or luckier or something.
So let's talk about Rocket a little bit. Rocket today, I guess there are like 3 or 4 parts. You have the Global Fashion Group, which is what you talked about 2 years ago at our interview at NOAH, and you suggested that the sheikhs in the Middle East should close down their big malls and put parks and children should play, which I think was wonderful. And then you have a more recent segment in Rocket, which is the Global Online Takeaway Group, which is mainly oriented around food. And then you have all the kind of promising new startups, etc. I'm sure people ask you that question a lot, and it's probably very boring, but what is the third one which you are most excited about out of your portfolio, without disappointing any one of you people working for you, of course?
We like very much, you remember what we said about the house, home and living? Mm-hmm. Yeah, we like home and living, 2 companies, Home24, Westwing, we're very excited about. I mean, look how big Zalando became. Therefore, we think, look how big IKEA is and how big Home24 and Westwing could therefore become. Yeah, look at the interesting margin profile of this industry. Look at kind of the experience today of a customer. If you want to buy home and living products, you have to drive 50 kilometers. You have to eat those Swedish köttbullar or those meatballs, yeah? And then basically, yeah, when you come home with your children, you're dead, yeah? It's just kind of like, and that was...
If you come home.
If
they don't hide in the kids' department and sleep on the beds.
And then basically that was your Saturday, so it's pretty... Yeah, I mean, especially if you work during the week, it's pretty, yeah, it's like, what a day. Yeah. Better go back to work, yeah.
So we have delivering fashion, delivering food, delivering furniture. And then I saw in the presentation that, and that was nice because kind of consistent with our conference, we started actually this morning with FinTech. There are quite a few companies in the FinTech space, also in the lending space. It's not e-commerce, it's kind of a new vertical, I guess, within Rocket. Tell us how you feel about this. Is the time ready to disrupt the financial industry?
I think it's the year 94, 95 of, compared to e-commerce. Yeah, that's what it is. It's the very beginning. I think there's going to be a number of companies around the world that will fail, but there's going to be also a number that will make it. Will it go fast? No. Remember how Walmart, how long did it take Amazon to kind of like go into the billions of dollars of revenues and kind of like have be ever at all be compared to Walmart? It took a long time. And I think that's what we're seeing here also. yeah, and probably it will even take longer because basically this is about changing people's consumer behavior. But I think you see in companies, yeah, be it Funding Circle in the UK, Landing Club in America, Landico, ZenCap, SpotCap, etc. here. So basically you see enough, I think, beginner, and I think the industry is huge, the potential is big, so I think it's a very exciting industry, and it won't be the last. Yeah? So we're going now in the conference business.
You were in the conference business.
And M&A, what else are you doing? Yeah.
I'm ready. I'm ready.
There,
I'm
yeah.
ready. Oliver, let's talk about the big picture. So you build companies quite fast. I think they felt like run on steroids because people were like working much harder than I've ever seen anywhere else and more creative, of course, and organized. But now you're the CEO of a big public company with lots of big verticals. Are you pursuing the interactive corp strategy that you will spin some of those assets at some point, or is it a topic we are not allowed to talk about since you are a public company CEO, as you told me before?
As I told you. So I think, apart from, I think, having more means to achieve our goal, being able to have more impact, being able to be in more countries, to be more models, I think nothing has changed. We start companies from scratch. We do complementary M&A. Delivery Hero, we've been in that business. In Food Panda for 4 years. We've been in Yemek for 7 years. Yeah? So we've been in those businesses for a very, very long time. We feel it's very complementary. I think the business per se has not changed. If we ever list any public entities, we cannot comment, in that sense. I think our goal is to be a very, very strong operational company. I think that has always been our key focus. If you look at Interactive, most of the companies they bought, we have 98% of the companies we helped to build from scratch. Mm-hmm. And therefore, I think it's a fundamental difference. The entire culture of our company is all about building, plus some investing, but building, supporting. Of the roughly 400 people that we have in Berlin, 99.8 whatever are people who are construction workers, basically trying to build companies and supporting companies. Therefore, I think it will always be very different, and maybe it will be its own unique animal, and therefore, basically, I think not so similar to Interactive.
How many people do you have in your Rocket M&A corporate development department working?
We don't even have a department called that way. Yeah, I think if you do M&A,
you hire bankers, obviously, like me. But if you want to address the audience, because there are a lot of entrepreneurs here, like the delivery heroes, maybe not on that size, but are you open for business in terms of M&A? Should they proactively think about Rocket as a rocket ship, like a new heaven, how to continue grow their business, or they should mind their own business?
I think definitely we have today more means to make more complementary investments, or like even investments in spaces where we are not. Mm-hmm. So I think definitely we would like that they think of us. Definitely, I think we can react very fast. And I would say in Europe, at least in most markets like Latin, Russia, almost India and South Asia, Middle East and Africa, I think we are probably one of the few groups, or probably the group that can invest most and actually does invest. I mean, if you look at Delivery Hero, we put roughly 600 million euros or something in the company. We put into HelloFresh 180 million euros. We have a few other companies where we're close to 100 million, and I think those won't be the last businesses in which we invest. So we want to be an active shaper and support the best companies, and also we have investments of 100,000. It goes from 100,000 to 500 million, and I think that's what basically I think no other company in Europe can almost do or does, maybe even if they could.
And the kind of larger M&A companies you could potentially take over candidates, are they adjacent to your current activities, or as you said, it could be something completely new? What would you be interested in as a Rocket?
So we continue to be interested in areas like in fintech, in which we are not, be it online asset management, still be it lending. We look at other businesses that people do in e-commerce, We look at a lot of marketplaces, classifieds, mobile on-demand services. I think we are focused on consumers. In consumers, I think we try to be very good, but we say basically stay close to your knittings, don't go too far away. So I think we're not the best people for software. We're not the best people for any kind of like whatever other too techy businesses. I think we are businesses for the end consumer with a strong tech component, but we are not going to hardware or any other security features or something.
Okay, so interesting. I mean, I know Oliver for many, many years, and on the business side, things change because you keep on holding assets longer, and you really build them, and you build them globally in places I've never traveled to, which there are not so many, so that's impressive. And then also, you are opportunistically doing M&A at the areas where it's right. So that's a change. Now, yesterday, we missed our speakers dinner, by the way, I have to talk about that. Yesterday, we had Ariana Huffington talking about burnout. You know who was the first person I was thinking of? You. Have you ever had anything like a burnout, or you were scared of a burnout, or you could have a burnout? Because I don't know anyone who works so intensively like you.
No, I think this burnout thing is not for me. I think burnout is, you know, I don't know a lot about it, so basically I can just say I love
Let's keep it that way. Let's keep it that way.
I just enjoy 98% of all my days, yeah, apart from the ones at IKEA, but basically 98% of my days. And
when have you been last week here?
Oh, I have to go. Yeah,
Do you love meatballs?
No, but basically I have to go and I have to play with the children there and so on. Yeah, so basically I think I've been there November or something, but I remember it. Yeah, so kind of it's it's an experience that I think could be done better. Yeah, but fundamentally I think I love what I'm doing. I know when I come off stage and open up my computer or something, I see 100 problems, not challenges, but problems. Yeah, and yeah, we have to work them down. So it doesn't change, but I think I love what I'm doing, and I think what I said in the very beginning, I think this thinking it on day one, or like that a marathon is coming, and even if you are feeling you're at the height, you know, many people had a big IPO party. I think our IPO party was, I don't know, burgers, hot dogs.
Yeah? Oh, well, we can change that. Yeah. We have a great party tonight.
Exactly.
And you are invited to that.
That's why we're not a conference, yeah? So, but basically, if you would go in conference business, yeah.
So maybe you're not so good in the conference business after all. We can have fun.
And yeah, stay close to your knitting. So basically, we don't do that. And no, but ours, you know, our party was very, very basic.
Was it Burger King or McDonald's?
No, I think it was basically, yeah, I don't know, maybe it cost €1.20 per person, I don't know, yeah? So it was very, very thrifty, but that's what, you know, we always tell people, you know, as long as most of your companies make losses, you cannot spend the party. It's very different to your business, high EBITDA margin, yeah? And so basically, in our business, where most
positive
companies...
EBITDA, not high negative.
Short-term EBITDA, yeah. And,
so so let's talk, let's talk about what is Oliver Samwer, because lots of people, when I travel, they ask me about this Oliver Samwer guy, and I try to describe you. And on the one side, you're an investor, but you have been an entrepreneur. So are you so successful, you think, because you have been a good entrepreneur, and when you're investing, you can sniff out good entrepreneurs? Are you like a super HR guy who can delegate like the most complicated tasks to the most skilled people?
No, I think I'm a baker.
A baker?
So, yeah, a baker. So I bake 3 things. So basically, I bake a cake out of 3 things: ideas, people, and capital. And I think that's what I do every day. And there's always a shortage. Sometimes we don't have enough ideas. Sometimes we don't have enough great people. And sometimes we don't have enough capital. And I think that's what my life turns around, yeah? And basically, I think those words, investor, is definitely not. I think I'm a baker, and a small baker is an entrepreneur. So basically, I'm a baker entrepreneur.
Do you ever look back? I met most of our most impressive clients, they never talk about their achievements. I've never heard you talk about your achievements. Do you always look forward, or you, in fact, I'm quite relieved we filled this thing up here with your help and all the other great speakers. And I will look back, but do you ever look back to your achievements, or is it the beginning of the end?
No, I think your achievements, I mean, we still want to build and support and invest in so many companies. I think that's not what we look at. I think there are moments where you feel, one milestone is done. So in that sense, for me, the IPO was, I'm now able to tell other young entrepreneurs how it is to go public, and now even how it is to be public. Before it was, I would say, textbook. Yeah. Now it's reality, and I think that gives us a lot of knowledge to pass on, and I think to explain to people that it's not as horrible.
How old is Konstantin Orban, the CEO of Windeln.de?
Oh, 85? No, I don't know. Konstantin?
Did Konstantin call you before he went public?
No, because I was not an investor in this. I missed that. Yeah, but no. Konstantin, I think he's seen, and he probably got his knowledge from somewhere else. But basically, I think I remember when Ruben went public with Zalando, and Robert and David and myself, and we always exchanged, and did you hear that, and you know about this, and did you also squeeze the banks here, and how do we pay less, and how can we do this? And I think there was a lot, and now basically with other companies that hopefully one day go public, we share that knowledge, and I think that is something that in Europe is relatively rare. Yeah, I think there are not that many companies public, and I think it's definitely something that I encourage everyone to start more, start earlier, build bigger, and hopefully also go public, not as a means in itself, but as a means to build larger, more successful companies with more employees, companies that have also a little bit of more global impact, so that we don't only basically have successful giants in America and in China.
If you would be your boss, would you be scared of you?
If I would be my boss, those would-be questions are always difficult. If I would be my boss, no, I think I would embrace this guy and probably be saying, put some boundaries around him. Yeah, and
no, I mean, looking at the people coming out of Rocket, I mean, whatever happens within your machine is working, right? So your alumni founding companies all over Europe, and you've mentioned there are three things you're baking: ideas, people, and capital. On the capital side, you're doing fine. I think there's no shortage. And I'm sure the ideas are coming through the people. So how do you attract people, and how is it working within Rocket? Has it changed over the years?
No, the key thing is always give them early on mega responsibility. Yeah? Or first we call it freedom, but then we also explain that freedom comes with responsibility. Yeah? Freedom is kind of like, okay, you do what you want. Okay, you do what you want, but then kind of nobody can invest again with you. Yeah? So it comes with responsibility. Give that early on. And I think then basically, most of my sentences when I give someone advice, I say, you decide what you do, but I think that's crazy, yeah? Or I think that's very visionary, yeah? which could mean the same. Yeah?
The time is up. Just one question. Can we take 10 questions from the audience? Can we take 2 or 3?
I think we should take some from the audience,
yes,
because I think maybe there are questions.
There are for sure.
But if not, I can go.
So is there anyone here with a question? There we have a question. In fact, we have no microphone. You have to run up here. And I give you my microphone, maybe.
Oh.
Hi.
He's dangerous. Yeah.
I know. Provocative, as always. And you owe me one, as you know. One question nobody dares to ask, but I think everybody thinking about, you were always blamed to be non-original, copycutter. Did it change? Was it really the case? Do you have a new strategy, new philosophy? Are you still blamed for being non-original or a copycutter?
So I think many people who say we are copycat are either one thing. Maybe they are the engineering Einstein, so they have the right to say that, which is true probably for 1%. And for the other 99%, I think they don't understand how much work it is to pick up an idea and to build a company out of it. And I think the difference is that many people think building a company is easy. But I think, look at your children. Waking up is easy. Getting up, very difficult. Otherwise, you wouldn't have to call them all the time, come down to breakfast. Yeah? So it's very hard. And I think the very, very, very smart pioneers, like this Edison guy who said 99% is perspiration and 1% is inspiration, I think they got it. Would I love to be the very first ever in the world with an idea? Yes, maybe. Do I lose sleep on it? No. I like what I'm doing it, and I think we try to build successful companies that are sustainable, that are market leaders, that provide great service to customers, to the community, and I think that's what matters. Yeah? And I think looking at the 33,000 jobs that just of the companies that we help to support from scratch, I think we got a pretty far away. And therefore, I think, has the strategy changed? No. Maybe one day people will go and write an analysis and say, he didn't invent many companies, but he invented one, and maybe the business model of Rocket one day will be declared a pioneer or an original idea.
And Oliver, or Rocket, clearly invented TV advertising for internet companies, which completely revolutionized at least the German free TV scene. Next question, please. I'm a fast runner, so even on the top floors, we can have some volunteers. No more question? So either I have done a great job or people are shy. Hands up? Okay. Oh, another finance guy, I know that.
No, only the dangerous people.
Ollie, there's rumor in the market that you're raising $1 billion fund. Is that true? And how do you play with the VCs with this new fund?
So we always look at various ways, as I said about this cake, to have enough flour and therefore to have enough capital. And I think we do have sufficient capital. At the same time, if there are opportunities for our shareholders to increase value through other means, we will do that. I think that's as much as I can say. If the relationship with the VCs, I think the relationship with the VCs, with the business angels, with the growth investors, with the pre-IPO investors will always be that we try to build great companies, that we try to invite them to rounds, and maybe in the future be able even with other means basically to invest more per single company. But I think we'll always looking for long-term partners, and I think we'll do a lot also with the VCs and business angels and other people in the future.
One third question, since 3 is a lucky number. Oh, I found someone.
Yes. Slightly dangerous question nobody dares to ask sometimes. I recently spent some time in the Valley as well, and there seems to be a culture that all the founders of the companies are male, and there are not a lot of female founders. Do you have a good explanation why that is as such? Are women less innovative or less brave or less whatever?
I think obviously clearly not. I think it has more to do, and I think it's changing. I think actually Berlin is not that bad. And if you look at the founder of Westwing, it's a woman. Yeah. So I think fundamentally, I think here in Berlin you have several startups. One of them is an ex-Rocket person or ex-CityDeal Groupon person. So I think it's more, I think sometimes there's still the image about an internet company that is about programming technology. And I think probably we still don't have enough girls and women to basically study programming, or basically I think it's, I would say, internet is still, in internet companies are still mystified. Yeah, it's basically, it's one big myth that you need to have to be into Georgia Tech or to Munich TUM or to, I don't know, Oxford or Cambridge IT or something to build that successful. There are successful entrepreneurs like that, but there are as many or many more who are not. And I think it's more about demystification that's needed than anything else. Yeah? I think there's nothing, obviously, that makes women less successful. And therefore, I think it's more about making it seem more normal or more like it really is. It's very, very, very normal.
One more, or shall we call it a day?
I'm fine, whatever people want, yeah. It's kind
But
of
looking at this, Oliver, I have an idea. Why don't we start tomorrow at 8:30 and do the whole thing again? Then people start early tomorrow morning.
Remember, I can only be one day in Berlin.
That would ruin the party. Okay, one more question, and then... So it is over there. Back now. We are also bootstrapped, by the way, Oliver. We couldn't even afford people carrying around a microphone.
Yeah, it looks like a very thrifty conference here.
Hi. Hi. I'm from Istanbul, Turkey, and I wanted to ask you about your experience as Rocket in Turkey, because you guys came in, you grew up really fast and left really fast too. So that was something that I didn't really kind of understand, and I'd like to have a kind of an explanation.
So, if you want to build 33,000 jobs, you will also fail on its way. And I think Turkey is a good example. As you remember, when we do our analysis about a country, we go on Wikipedia to check how many people live there. We go on a service called Google Earth to look at the streets, if they have shops or not. And then we figured out the country. And then we go. And with that analysis, we went to Turkey. And we started an online furniture business. We started an online sports goods business. And I think an online fashion business. In the very beginning, we saw very good traction because Turkey is a country that basically, I think, adopts technology trends very fast. And then I think the beauty of being in many, many markets allows us to have KPIs across markets. And we realized that the unit economics were much, much worse in Turkey, in e-commerce, in our sectors, than in most other markets. The margins, the number of months they have of sales periods. I tell you, even if I would have employed a consulting company, investment bank, or Forrester Research, and I would have sent them to do analysis, and instead of Wikipedia and Google Earth, I don't regret it, because basically I don't think we would have figured it out that for our services at that point of time, it was the right market. So I'm glad we did it, because we learned it. Yes, we had to hire 150 people, or 210, I think. Yes, we had to let many of them go. But you know, there's no transformation if you don't try. And you know, in the same year, I think we went to roughly 27 new markets. Yes, Turkey didn't work. 26 markets worked. But it doesn't mean that we don't come back. It's a little bit like Back to the Future. We came back in a big way. We recently acquired a company called Yemek Sepeti through Delivery Hero. This was a very, very large complementary acquisition of $500 million plus. It's a Google of food in Yemek, in Turkey. So I think we came, we left, and we came back. And I think, therefore, I think that is about the learning of our company. We go, we take that risk, and if we don't, we are proud. We have no pride in not closing down. We don't try to sell it to someone and kind of do some face saving, etc. I think we close it, and if we see another opportunity, we come back. And I think Turkey is a market that happened, but the same happened in other industries. Just because I was not successful in this venture, in this sector, doesn't mean I don't come back. And I think now we are very, very successful, and we are very proud to back an entrepreneur like Nefsat from Turkey. And I think it's more of a learning experience of learn from your failures, learn from your mistakes.
Hi, Oli. Here, nearby Marco.
French guy now.
The French guy. Yeah, first of all, I just want to thank you for coming again to NOAH despite Marco's questions. Just one thing, you saw so many opportunities to invest in the last 20 years. What are the 3 ones you kind of think, oh shit, I missed this one? You remember this Bessemer homepage where they mentioned Apple and PayPal and so on? I was wondering, what are the 3 ones that you should have probably invested in?
So you mean the Hall of Shame? So what did I miss? I invested in Facebook at 15 billion and I sold it at 15.5. Yeah, because I was scared. I missed to invest in Delivery Hero early at 10. There are a long list, not just 3. I think, what, it can be what? It can be longer. Yeah, the list is very long. Yeah, very, very long. I just try to think. Yeah, because I'm so focused on, yeah, what's next and kind of like I can't start crying about the past. I looked at Farfetch was another one. I think we admired Just Eat, but we came back. So now we have a bigger Just Eat. Yeah, so, yeah. A little Turkey example again. So I think, but there are quite a few, yeah, and I think we admire a lot of businesses and we're always jealous of the other and think like, oh, why don't we have a nice business like that, yeah, and so, yeah, like a little child, yeah, but what's my dream? To be in every good company, yeah, and so we still have to work a lot harder to get that done. But our goal is to be very impactful and to support a lot of entrepreneurs. And I think I wish everyone here the best. And I think we have really made all entrepreneurs in Europe, and I think the broader sense of Europe also, Israel, Russia, etc. I think a big step. I met the CEO and founder of Yandex. I mean, think someone basically dared to compete with Google. I think it's all great that we have a lot of entrepreneurs, even better if we have a lot more younger people here, but probably the conference prices are too high. And I think let's push it all, yeah? Let's push all to build more successful companies. And whenever you think it's time to talk to us, feel free. Otherwise, I wish you all the best and thank you very much. Bye-bye.